I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL. I've got an exciting video for you today. I've got 10 out of 10 niche fragrances to show you. Stay tuned to FM. A few weeks ago I made a video about 10 designer fragrances that I thought were 10 out of 10, so pretty much perfect fragrances. I wanted to follow that up with a niche version of this video, so today I'm going to be talking to you about 10 niche fragrances that I also think are pretty much perfect. This was a very difficult list to put together, more difficult than the designer actually, because I do have a lot of niche in my collection and I try to only get things that I really love. I don't have a lot of fragrances that I don't really enjoy. Although I've got 10 in this video, I could easily have picked more than that. I have more than 10 out of 10 fragrances in my collection. There's a Roja in here, there's a Nasomatto in here. To be honest, I could have made up 10 out of 10 fragrances out of those two houses alone, but I have not. I've gone for variety. I've picked 10 awesome fragrances to show you, so let's get started. I'm kicking things off with what I think is a very accessible niche fragrance. It's from the house of Amouage, and this is a scent that whenever friends come over to my house for the weekend and we're going out, they browse through my fragrance collection and they'll often choose a scent to wear so they can wear something different, and a lot of the time they go for this one. I'm talking about Reflection Man. Prominent notes in this one for me are white florals and sandalwood. The white florals here are jasmine and ylang ylang, and then the sandalwood in here is just so creamy and beautiful. It's kind of got a similar scent profile to Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Malle. You'll have probably heard that before. It's just an easy way of giving you some idea of what this fragrance smells like. It doesn't smell exactly the same. This one smells somehow smoother, more rounded, it has more depth, it's more refined. It's got some lovely gentlemanly qualities though. It's got a lot of lift. There's some pink pepper and petitgrain in here. So it's not just a thick, creamy fragrance. It's got a nice bit of vibrancy to it as well. And it reminds me of walking through an English country garden, like the garden of a stately home in full bloom in the summer, and you get the lovely smells of all the flowers around you. Kind of makes me think of something like that. It's bright, it's uplifting, it's gentlemanly, it's incredibly satisfying to wear, very easy to wear, very mass appealing. I think those around you will really enjoy this. It's very likable. I think it will be very hard for someone not to like this kind of scent DNA. If you're looking for a fragrance that will work really well in the spring, in the summer, that isn't a citrus-based fragrance, well worth checking out Reflection Man. I apologise if you can hear didgeridoos, recorders, pianos. The kids are doing music downstairs, but we've got to keep filming. We've got to push on. That's what happens during lockdown, all right? So sorry about that, please bear with me. All right, the next fragrance I'm going to talk about is a fragrance that most serious collectors will own. Many people class this as a masterpiece. I think it's beautiful. 10 out of 10 fragrance. To me, it's quite unique. I've not smelled anything quite like this. It's an absolute beauty. I'm talking about Andy Tauer's L'air de Desert Marocain. I know you're probably getting sick of people talking about this fragrance, but really great fragrances do get talked about a lot, and this is a list of 10 out of 10 fragrances, and I could not put this video together without including this fragrance. So to me, it's a little bit floral, a little bit herbal, a little bit woody. One of the things I like most about this fragrance is I get this sweet, damp earth accord from it. And you might be thinking, Chris, why would I want to smell like damp earth? I can understand that, but until you've smelled this, you just don't realise how mesmerising it is. It just draws you in. It's kind of a smell that is so different and so unique that you want to keep smelling it because it intrigues you, and it's a smell that is mass appealing at the same time. I think it's very enjoyable, it's very satisfying. I get hints of soapy powderiness. In fact, I think powdery is a great way to describe this fragrance overall. All the nuances are superbly well blended. It smells a little bit exotic, it's very transportive. One minute I can be in a lush green forest, the next I'm in a desert spice market. I'd probably say that this leans a little more mature. Personally, I would say 30 plus is around the age you might want to think about checking this fragrance out. If you're new to fragrances and you're just starting out on your niche journey, then you might find this possibly a little bit feminine. Not too much, I would say it's absolutely unisex, but because it is quite a different smell and there are some florals in here, you may think that it has feminine associations. I love this, and if you're well into your niche fragrance buying and you can appreciate more complex, more interesting, more unique fragrances, I'm pretty sure you would agree that this is a masterpiece. So we're going to the house of Nasomatto next. I love this house. I could have included more than one of their fragrances in this video. I'd say that this is just about my favorite from the house. I'd say my second favorite is probably Baronda. My third is Black Afghano, my fourth, Duro, but this is my first. I'm talking about Pardon. Like Leather Desert Marocain, this is such an intriguing, interesting fragrance that draws you in. It's got a complexity to it. It smells like it's got oud in there. I don't know if it's real oud or an oud accord, but it smells like a high quality natural oud to me. And if it isn't, then they've done a great job at recreating that. And it's quite clean as well. It doesn't smell animalic or skanky, so if you think oud might be too much for you, definitely do not be put off by it. There's some florals in here as well, but they're not bright florals. I would describe them as dark, brooding florals. I'd say it's quite a moody fragrance, this one. I think it's got attitude, but it's got enough brightness to it to have a little bit of playfulness there as well, so it's just balanced really well. Part of what makes this such a well-balanced fragrance is a sweet, smooth base, so there might be some tonka bean in here. I don't think Nasomatto officially list their notes, and there's a bit of a chocolatey vibe as well, so this smooth, sweet base just balances really well with the kind of slightly potent oud accord. So it's fun, but it's serious at the same time. As I said, it's quite assertive, so it makes it quite a confidence-inspiring fragrance. I certainly find it confidence-inspiring. I think the time of year to wear this, because it does have a bit of a potent edge to it, I would say you're looking at autumn and winter. I think if you wore this in high heat, it's going to be too much. It's going to feel too oppressive. I personally don't wear this when it's too warm. I know people who do. And people do wear oudi fragrances in the warm countries, in the deserts. That's traditionally the type of perfumery that they wear. So it just depends what you're into. But for me personally, I have other fragrances that I prefer to wear in the warmer weather. One thing that surprised me when I first wore this fragrance, and this has happened quite a few times, is people notice it, but in a very positive way. It draws them in. They're always interested, and they always end up saying that they really like it. I think it's a mass appealing scent, but it's got enough that's different about it. It's got enough complexity that even people who aren't deep into fragrances can appreciate it. So it just teeters on the edge of what is challenging and mass appealing. Pardon to me is beautifully done. Definitely 10 out of 10. From one extreme to the other, this is definitely a fragrance I would wear in the warmer weather. For me, this works great in spring, great in summer. I could wear this year round, but I love reaching for it in the warmer months. Doesn't get more classy and more masculine than Acqua de Parma, and this is probably my favorite from the house. It's Colonia Sansa. Citrus heaven, but the great thing about the citruses here is they hang around. They're not fleeting. They don't just fly away quickly like you can find with a lot of fresh fragrances. And this has a weight to it, which gives it good performance, and it's got a density to it, possibly coming from oak moss. It's a winning combination of vetiver, which gives it a dry woodiness, citruses, which for me is predominantly lemon, a real photorealistic kind of freshly sliced lemon, and then we've got some neroli, which is kind of a soapy white floral. And when I smell this, it makes me think of lemon sherbet sweets. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's that refreshing, it almost quenches your thirst. when you spray this fragrance on. It's a real classical, clean, masculine style fragrance. It really captures the DNA of the original Colonia, but it adds more depth and better performance. If you're interested in this, if you think you might like a citrus fragrance that has good performance, then actually you can find quite a good deal on this. Checking online, I see that All Beauty, and I think a few other places, but allbeauty.com are selling this for £35 for a 20ml bottle, which will last you quite a while. So I think that is a great way of trying out this fragrance with quite low financial risk. So if you think this one might be for you, then definitely check it out. When life gives you lemons. When I first smelled this next fragrance, it smelled like nothing else I'd ever smelled before. It really intrigued me. And this is also my most complimented fragrance by my wife. I'm talking about Initio's Oud for Greatness. Yep, my wife loves this one. I don't think she can even explain what it is she loves about it. She just does. So when the time is right, sometimes I'll go for a few strategic sprays of this one. Let's just say I think it has an aphrodisiac effect. Don't judge me. So this one has lavender, spices, patchouli, oud. It's got this exotic dry woodiness about it. It's got this kind of exotic spice market appeal. The oud in here is not strong at all. It's not animalic or skanky. I think it is probably more supporting. It's sensual, it's intoxicating, it's also beast mode. This one just lasts and lasts, massive performance. You don't need many sprays of this one at all. Personally, I prefer to wear this in autumn and winter in slightly cooler temperatures, but you know, maybe it would work for you in warmer temperatures. That's just my personal preference. I find this just so wearable, so incredibly satisfying, and the cherry on the cake is it's also quite mass appealing. The next one has rum, amber, tobacco, vanilla, all notes I really enjoy, so you can see why this is getting a 10 out of 10. For me, this was love at first sniff, and I enjoy it more each time I wear it. From Argos Fragrances, it's Triumph of Bacchus. So this has a few darker, richer notes, but it's balanced really well with more uplifting notes. There's a lovely green apple and saffron. The booziness mixed with the tobacco gives me this kind of licorice accord. Licorice isn't a listed note or accord, but that's just something I get from this, and it reminds me, as I've said in previous videos, a little bit of licorice all sorts sweets, which is really nice. I've not really smelled another fragrance that reminds me of this. It's a well-crafted, well-rounded, smooth fragrance. It's got a real luxurious quality, but it's got great wearability. Performance on this is fantastic. This has been selling out for Argos. It's been very popular, currently sold out on their website. I think it is available to pre-order. If you want to get a little bit of money off, you can use my code FRAG-MENTAL10. I'll leave a link down below in the description. Triumph of Bacchus is certainly a triumph for Argos. Wow, that was cheesy. The next one I'm going to talk about will come as no surprise if you've been following me for a little while. This is my current favourite fragrance. It gives me the tingles every time I smell this. This is the masterpiece that is Enigma. This beauty from Roja Parfums has got a gorgeous boozy cognac note, and cognac, I believe, is the only natural boozy note in fragrances. All the other fragrance notes like whiskey and rum, they are accords, notes put together to create the accord of booze, whereas cognac just smells natural, and this does really smell natural. The cognac just draws you in, it just pulls you in to this fragrance. We've got some creamy vanilla, there's some spices giving this a little bit of kick. I am loving the Parfum Cologne version of this. It's a lot cheaper than the Parfum. I love the Parfum. It sits a little closer to the skin and lasts longer than this, but what I enjoy about the Parfum Cologne is that it has more projection, it's a little more diffusive, has a bit more lift. I think there's more citrus in the top here, which is giving us all those things, so that maybe makes this one just a little more versatile, a little more mass appealing, which is great, because even though this works so well in autumn and winter, you've got to wear your favourite fragrance all year round, right? The next one I'm going to talk about is just pure gourmand goodness. This is my favourite from the house, or from the ones I've smelled from the house, and if I let you hear this noise, can you guess which house I'm talking about? From House of Sillage, it's number 1. Number 1 is absolutely delicious. Don't worry about it being too sweet or too heavy. It definitely isn't. I wouldn't wear this on warmer summer days. I think this is definitely more autumn, winter, or certainly cooler days, maybe even some cooler spring days, because I think it might get a little bit too cloying. But when worn at the right time, this is just an absolutely perfect fragrance. And the boozy quality in here makes me think of rum and raisin sweets, so that kind of sweet vanilla-y caramel vibe mixed with the rum. It also reminds me of a really upmarket French patisserie, so all the pastries and sweet desserts laid out, the smell that you get when you walk into those places. I always get very positive feedback with this. Again, it's a very accessible, very easy to wear niche. If you like sweet fragrances, this one is pretty perfect. It is pricey, so if you're not willing to pay the prices that House of Sillage are charging, I can recommend Dua's version, which is called Singularity. It smells very, very close and very high quality. So if you like the idea of this fragrance, but it's a bit too much, then well worth checking out Dua's. We've got Creed next, and this is my current favourite Creed fragrance. I'm wearing this more than any other Creeds in my collection, and I'm talking about Viking. Viking is just so well put together. I love this stuff. Some people say it reminds them of a more niche quality version of Old Spice. I don't really get that. I have Old Spice, and yes, it has that classic kind of masculine, gentlemanly appeal, but for me, that's where the similarities stop. It's a very bright, uplifting, invigorating fragrance. There's really nice mint note in this, some citruses, some pink pepper. There's really beautiful rose in the heart. It doesn't smell like a feminine rose at all. It still retains a very masculine feel throughout the life of the fragrance. It's got a very refined, gentlemanly appeal. I find this so refreshing and invigorating, and if you ever did the Ice Bucket Challenge a few years ago, this is kind of like the scent equivalent. Well, it's not exactly like that. There's no ice, you don't get wet, well, you get a bit wet, but you definitely don't scream. I love Viking. I just can't get enough of this at the moment. It's a versatile fragrance that I think works all year round, but for me, warmer weather, this is my go-to Creed. For the next one, I'm going to talk about a Parfums de Marly fragrance. Yes, I do think Carlisle is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. I always bang on about Carlisle, so I wanted to give another PDM fragrance a chance on this. This is also one of my favourites from the house, one of the best tobacco fragrances you will ever get your nose on. It's Herod. Whenever people put together top tobacco lists, you will often see Herod in there. You often see it on autumn or winter fragrance lists. It's just a fantastic fragrance for in the slightly cooler temperatures. As well as tobacco, there's vanilla and incense, and there's osmanthus in here. And osmanthus is a floral, but it has the scent profile that is similar to apricot, so there is a streak of lovely fruitiness that runs through this fragrance. And I love how the incense just adds this real mysterious quality. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. Some people claim they don't get great performance off this. Personally, I have no complaints. This works really well for me. Some people say that there was maybe an earlier formulation that was better, that was stronger, but I don't know if it's been reformulated. But this is a new bottle, and this one works great for me. If you're thinking of checking this one out, then there is an Instagram account here in the UK called PDM UK. I picked this one up from them, and I think they have the best prices around, so I'll try and remember to leave a link below to that Instagram account. Marcus has a great service, so he'll sort you out with a good price on Parfums de Marly. So that rounds off this list with this 10 out of 10 fragrance from Parfums de Marly. This has been a hard video to shoot today. I've had many interruptions. The postman just knocked on the door, the dog started barking, but we'll let him off because he brought me some fragrance. So that's all good. Postman can interrupt me anytime when he's bringing me the good stuff. So that's the end of my video. I'm slightly out of breath because I've just run up the stairs. Anyway, let me know what you think of my choices. What is your 10 out of 10? What is your number one 10 out of 10 niche fragrance? I would love to hear from you, and I hope you found this enjoyable. I hope you found it useful. Sorry for all the interruptions. Hopefully I've managed to edit most of those out. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good. And it's also got a lot of mass appeal. I think those around you will really enjoy this. It's a... That's a didgeridoo. Don't you hate it when someone starts playing a didgeridoo when you're in the middle of filming a YouTube video? Didgeridoo. And now the dog's barking. Pianos, recorders, didgeridoos, barking dogs, doors slamming, lawnmowers. Of course, it's very quiet. Until I turn the camera on, everything's quiet. No noise. As soon as you turn the camera on, you're turning the noise of the world on at the same time.